phone calls that were made, and wanted to keep the people coming. You guys were, I got 4 daughters, so I understand all about buying them off. So, but no, thank you very much for your help in the past, and thank you for allowing me to be here with you tonight. And by the way, I want to tell you, I saw something cool as I was walking through. I had to take a picture of this. Y'all do a pretty good job of announcing your meetings. And so I got here, I've never seen this. You've got my Congressman Steve Sutherland, College Republicans, Tuesday, 7:30. And so you got your announcement on my, I had to take a picture to show my wife and kids. Anyway, thank you. But no, I appreciate very much you allowing me to come and visit with you. I will tell you, because I have 4 daughters and live with 5 women, we evened the scale in December because I gave my wife a Christmas present, and it was a male Labrador Retriever puppy. So we leveled it out a little bit. But I want you to know that my motivation to run for Congress in 2010, and I was the first Republican to win this seat since 1882. So it had been a while. Now there's some great freedom that comes with that. You don't have to listen to anybody because nobody had ever done it before. And so we were able to do what we felt was best in order to run a race. Now, in every campaign, I mean, you use really smart people, you hire good people, you do a lot of polling in order to know exactly where you stand leading up to the race. But at the end, really, each and every day, you really depend upon your gut. You depend upon the values that you have, and do you really know your district? Our families lived in Northwest Florida in this district for over 200 years. And so these are our roots. This is the only place my family's ever called home. I love North and Northwest Florida. And when you put out a pretty good quality football team on the field, it's I had fun with that, by the way. Just to let you know, sidebar, I've got the president gave me a football helmet, an FSU football helmet. So if you come to my office in D.C., you walk into the lobby of my office, and I've got a FSU football helmet in my lobby. So obviously, to be so proud of the Seminoles, and by the way, my oldest graduated from Florida State. So Samantha, she's 24. I took the FSU helmet to the floor with me. I wanted everybody to know who represented FSU. And needless to say, my good buddy Dennis Ross, who was a huge Auburn fan, I had a good time with Dennis. But no, we do have deep roots here in Northwest Florida, and we are so proud to represent this district. My motivation to run in 2010, and again, I had never served in an elected office before. My motivation largely was because of Samantha, Stephanie, Allie, and Abby. They are 24, 23, 18, and 17. They're where you are. Stephanie graduated from the University of Central Florida, and they had a pretty good bowl game too. But she graduated in December. So last month, Stephanie, our second child, graduated. And we got a college visit on Friday for Abby. She's a senior in high school that I graduated from, and her mother. But my kids are your age. My kids are where you are. I tell people that I ran for Congress not to find a new life. I didn't. I ran for Congress to preserve the life I have. And there's a difference. And you know, when you meet members of Congress, you know which group they're in. Are they individuals who are there for the right reasons to fight for the life they've enjoyed and they have? Or are they there to really forge a new life, away from the life they've left? Each and every week when the gavel hits and we're done, I come home. I fly home. You see, Susan and I, my wife, we started first grade together. First grade. She's my best friend. We've been together now. I'm 48. We've been together since we were for 42 years. I didn't run for Congress to get away from her. got a Christmas present because he wakes up every morning at 5:30. Well, I'm in D.C. and he chews everything. But my point being is that my motivation to run was to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to pursue the American dream. And what does that mean? That means that the American dream is not a guarantee. That means that the American dream is not a grant. It's not a program. That means that the American dream is not an entitlement. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What that means is that if you're willing to work hard, and you're willing to be honest, and you're willing to treat people with respect, and you're willing to understand that some days the ball bounces your way, FSU, and some days the ball doesn't, Auburn Tigers, that if you understand with hard work and honest dealings, and with maybe that variation of the ball bouncing your way some days, and some days it doesn't, that in this country, over the long haul, you can put together a body of work with your life, hopefully pursuing a career, not a job. You're not doing all-nighters, and some of you racking up enormous college debt just to have a job. No. You want to find your purpose in life. You want a vocation that you can commit your life to. I grew up with a father who told me my entire life, and my three siblings, there are four of us, find a job you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Now, Dad wasn't talking about a job, was he? No. Dad was talking about finding your purpose in life. Why do you exist? Why do you exist? Pursue it. Dream big dreams. My father, and one day, my father, when he passes away, we will put this epitaph on his headstone, because this is what we have been told our entire life by my father. How big of dreams would you dream if you knew that your dreams would come true? How big of dreams would you dream if you knew that your dreams would come true? From the age of a little boy, I remember my father telling me that quote. I remember my father telling us that if we worked hard, and we put in the sweat equity, and we sacrificed, and we treated people with respect, and we played by the rules. We played by the rules. That those dreams could come true. I also remember at an early age my father taking us children to Washington, D.C., to Plymouth Rock, to Jamestown, to Gettysburg. Dad wanted us to see how that dream, that ability to dream, has made a difference down through the course of history, and why America is such a special place. Now, Dad never said America was a perfect place, because it hasn't been a perfect place. No, it hasn't. But over the centuries, the United States has dealt with issues that have divided us, and we have found a more perfect way. We will continue to do that. And why will we continue to do that? Because of you. If America's future is positive, it won't be because of me, it will be because of you. It will be because of Samantha and Stephanie and Allie and Abby. It will be because of you. We are waging a war. And this war is brutal. Because what this war will determine is whether my dad's words are true for your generation. And I want you to know, I get emotional when I think about Samantha and Stephanie and Allie and Abby and you not being able to do what their grandfather taught me to do. And that is to dream big dreams. Dream big dreams. I gotta tell you something. It is only in America could someone like me serve in the United States House of Representatives. I wasn't born into royalty, as if you have to be when you serve in a European country. No. I was born into a family with a father who worked, and he worked 60, 70, and 80 hours a week. Oftentimes all night long. Saturdays and Sundays, he missed birthday parties. He missed family vacations. He worked. We work. I tell families, the people throughout the district during my campaigns, the Sutherlands, we love 40-hour work weeks. That's why we squeeze 2 into every 7-day period. You see, my father is committed to earn success. I am committed to earn success. Where you are rewarded for your merit. You are rewarded for your effort. You are rewarded for your ability and willingness to sacrifice and say no to maybe some fun things, to do the necessary things in order to bring about your happiness. And when you get it, when you attain it, when that pursuit of happiness has resulted in the catch, and you're happy. And that happiness is not just material happiness, but you are doing that which you love to do. You are spending your life with those you love to spend your life with. And your life has been improved. As a matter of fact, you've accomplished more than your dad did, your mom did, your grandparents did. And guess what? That's what they wanted. They wanted you to accomplish more. When you catch that, when you attain that, only evil tries to convince you that what you've attained is wrong. You hear what I'm saying? Because that would be to penalize your willingness to sacrifice. There's a reason that in our family, when you turn 15, you go to work. Samantha, Stephanie, Allie, and Abby have all had a job since the age of 15. Stephanie is quick to remind her 3 sisters that she's had a job since she was 14. There's a creamery there in town that she worked at when she was 14. But oftentimes through this period, they've had 2 jobs, while all being student body vice presidents or cheerleading captains or soccer team captains and doing all the things that our girls have done. They've all had part-time jobs. Now, we didn't require them to have a part-time job because it was a penalty. No. No. We wanted our children to be introduced to the blessing of work. The blessing of work. Knowing that if they dream big dreams and they learn the disciplines of work, to be on time, to dress for success, guys, to make sure that your belt, your shoes match, that your shirt is ironed, to show up on time, to treat people with respect, that you will rise and be promoted, and that will assist you in your pursuit of happiness. And you will start dreaming of what you want to be when you grow up. And because you now have been equipped with a work discipline, and now you understand the pursuit of happiness, that it's elusive, you got to go get it, that no gazelle is served up on a platter for a lion in the Serengeti. He has to work for it. He must pursue his happiness to eat. That when you do that, that dream, those dreams will be focused to a vision of your life. the vision that you have to do with your life what you want to do. And that's when it's not work. That's when you love and you dream about doing what you do. And that's when work is not as fatiguing on you. The fatigue of work is diminished because you're doing what you were created to do. Dolphins don't get tired of swimming. Eagles don't get tired of flying. And when human beings find their purpose in life, and I just give you a little secret, 9 times out of 10, that purpose in life involves serving your fellow man and making our civilization better. It's not through being served, it is through serving others. And each and every day you get to gallop home from work on a white horse because you made a difference that day. Not just in your life, but in all the people that your life interacted with during those last few hours. So when Dad said, son, find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life, that's what he meant. That work won't really be work. It'll just be a natural expression of who you are. Now, why do I tell you that? I tell you that because right now in Washington, D.C., there's a battle going on. There's a war going on. And that war is going to try to demonize that which I just described to you. All in the name of equality or inequality. You see, I believe in equality. I believe in equality of opportunity. The difference is I don't believe in the equality of the outcome. Because I know that if you're willing to work 60 hours a week, and you're not, you're only willing to work 30. That if this gentleman is willing to play by the rules and to work hard and to be excellent in every way, and you're not, when he finds success through the pursuit of happiness, and his life is able, that vision comes together, and he's able to have the day of the catch. And he's able to do things and enjoy things because of his earned success, and you're not. And then if we step in as the big government and we say, whoa, 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 this isn't fair. Oh, we're going to take 40% of what you got, and we're going to give it to you. Now all is fair. That's evil. That's evil. I heard a The battle that's going on right now is to make sure that no matter how hard you work, no matter what you do, you're always going to be penalized for it. And I'm telling you that the reason I left my family business to run for Congress is because I had enough of it. And so we did something that nobody thought was possible. As a matter of fact, they thought I'd lost my mind. You're going to run against a 7-term congressman in a district that hasn't elected a Republican since 1882? You're an idiot. But let me tell you what I thought about. I thought about my dad. I thought about those days at the breakfast table where he would send us out to school in the morning. Kids, how big a dream would you dream if you knew that your dream would come true? That is what Americans have done better than anybody in the world or down through the course of history. Are we perfect? No. We're not. I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm saying that the system of earned success, where you are rewarded for your merit, your effort, your willingness to sacrifice, is the fairest of all systems on planet Earth. And it is the only system where the poor have a chance to improve their plight, where they can learn a trade, have dreams, pursue those dreams, get an education. You get an education in this country. Get a job, and before you know it, their name is on the marquee. That happens in America. It doesn't happen in other parts of the world. That's the fairest of all systems, where the least, those who weren't born into opulence, have the opportunity to pursue happiness. So the battle that's going on in Washington, D.C. right now is really over that principle. And I've been there now for 3 years. 54% of the Republicans in the House of Representatives have served in Congress less than 3 years. We're a new Congress. We're a new group. I hear people talking about, term limits and guys have been there forever. And when 54% of your entire conference has been there less than 3 years, you got a lot of new blood there. So we're working hard. We're working hard to make sure that we deliver to you an America better than we found it. That's what America has done for a long, long time. There is a chance that our generation could be the very first generation that hands you less opportunity, less freedom, and less ability to pursue happiness. That's sad, especially when you got children. That's hard to think about. So, I want to answer a question or two, and I can answer questions about policy or whatever you want to ask before I leave. But I want to say to you as college Republicans, and I'll have a closing comment here in a few minutes after the questions. I want to say thank you for your organization. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak. And with that said, is there a question or two that, yes, sir?
Is there anything that can be done about Barack Obama making changes to the health care law, unilaterally, like a dictator?
Let me say this. The question was in regards to the president making changes and edits to the health care law. The bill that is, or the law that is currently in existence today is not the law that was passed by the Congress, passed by the Senate, signed into law by the President, and ruled upon by the Supreme Court. That law does not exist today. Because with the carve-outs, with the exemptions, with the delays, the exceptions made, this law is very different. This law is not the same law. And this law does not apply to all Americans. And I believe that we should have one standard, and that this law should apply to all Americans if it will apply to one American. And so therefore the battle, it does not apply to the executive branch. It does not apply to presidential appointees. It does not apply to secretaries of departments. It does not apply to federal workers. It does not apply to the president or the vice president. Okay? Now the president a couple weeks ago, after being pounded, signed up for it. Okay? That was a political move. It wasn't a moral move. There's a difference. So to your question, there has been a bill filed, okay, to bring a suit against the president, okay, over some of the things the president has done, not just as it pertains to the health care law, but as it pertains to several other things the president has done, okay, that are in clear violation of executive power. One is the recess appointments, okay, and another is his amnesty that he granted to 800,000 people, okay. And I believe he is also guilty of that by making the changes to a law without Congress's weighing in on it with the health care law and other things. So there is a lawsuit filed, there's a lawsuit filed, there's also a bill moving forward that does the same thing. So it is because I believe the president has erred greatly. Yes?
Do you think that bill should lead to a charge of impeachment?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, impeachment. I don't know, I'll tell you, it is, first of all, the president would never be impeached with a Democratic Senate. Okay? And so therefore, we got to be smart, and we got to be realistic. I mean, you can want someone all you want, but if it's not possible, okay? And dreaming big dreams is one thing. Okay, my dad's telling us to dream big dreams because it was possible. Okay, I don't believe it's possible, okay, to get 2/3 of the Senate to impeach the president. Okay, but, so, you know, that might be an exercise in futility. Yes.
What do you think should be done, if anything, to address the rising problem of student debt? And because that's a lot of people's really issues that happen.
Correct. Well, let me say this. At all times, you've got to make wise decisions. You got to make wise decisions. But you also need to have certainty in knowing what that loan, once you've made the decision to bite off that college loan, you've got to know, like a business person, when I go to the bank, I want to know what my interest rate's going to be. Okay? And if a bank can't give me certainty on an interest rate, I go to another bank. And so, you know, one of the things that we have to do is give you the certainty through the interest rate, and that's the federal portion of the loan process, okay? But also the states have to do their part. And the states in doing their part, and this is a state's issue thing, they have to do their part in trying to address the rising cost of college. I know Rick Scott is trying to address this, and he's trying to create a $10,000 college education in the state of Florida. Now, guess what, guys? That might not be at Florida State University. I didn't go to Florida State University. I went to a small college in South Alabama, Troy State. It was less expensive. So I made a buying decision. And I think I've now proved you can get to Congress with a Troy State. The point is you've got some responsibility in the buying decision. Okay? I believe in personal responsibility. Samantha and Stephanie had to make a decision. Okay. Now they're on Bright Future Scholarships. How many of you are from the state of Florida? Okay. How many of you are on Bright Future Scholarships? Okay. Samantha and Stephanie were on Bright Future Scholarships, and they made a decision to forego their first 2 years at a major university in the state of Florida. So they did probably what every college freshman dreads the thought of doing. They stayed in Panama City, lived at home, and went to Gulf Coast College. Earned success, remember? Earned success. The pain of having to live at home and have that job, because that's a requirement if you're living at 900 Christiana Drive, the pain of that, I promise in the long run, will be outweighed by the financial gain. So Samantha and Stephanie worked at home, they put money in their savings account, they got their AA degree, they left Gulf Coast, they went to Florida State, they went to the University of Central Florida, they both graduated with 0 debt. Not because of me. I didn't do that. Because let me tell you something, you're going to work. But guess what, Samantha and Stephanie? Today, if I ask them, if I congratulate them, they made wise decisions. I didn't make the decision. They did. Earned success. Now, we got to do our part. As members of Congress, we got to make sure that when you've made the decision to bite off those loans, and those loans are there because some people have to have them, then you have the same certainty that the rules of the game are not going to change on you midstream. That's what I have as a businessman. When I go to a bank and I'm going to borrow money from a banker, I want to make sure I'm dealing with an institution that is not going to change the rules on me midstream and penalize me. That's the same whether it's a college loan, whether it's a small business loan, or whether it's flood insurance. Just don't change the rules on me in the middle of the game, because that is not fair. So, you know, and this year we passed the student loan bill and to try to give you some more certainty. But the states, let me say this, the runaway cost of a college education, the cost of it, I believe that the state legislatures in the states have the greatest impact on those. Okay, and that's where and I'm just saying that in the way it works, we're the financing arm, they're the cost arm. Yes, sir.
On the view of having limited government with a strict minimalized budget, how do you view calls for increasing the budgets for science agencies like the NSF, NIH, and NASA?
Well, you see with NASA, you see a lot of privatization, you know, with NASA. I mean, you're seeing, you know, but at the same time, you've seen an organization that I could make the argument that that department has probably been more effective in accomplishing its purpose than any other department other than maybe DOD. Okay? I mean, if you want to know the incompetence, come hang with me for a week. I mean, it's so aggravating when we throw chairs.
Is that an invitation?
That's an invitation. And I'll say this to you and any of you. If you get to Washington, D.C., please don't come without letting me know. Because we want to make sure you see the inner workings of your government. So we will tour you through the things that we want you to tour, the cool things. But we're also going to take you behind the scenes because we want you to see some things that maybe you couldn't see on a congressional tour, okay, given through the visitor center. So, yeah, we want you to do that. I think that there are some departments up there, you know, I think NSA right now is going through I mean, they're being grilled right now, and rightfully so. You know, I supported the Amash Amendment. I don't know how many of you follow it, but Justin Amash out of Michigan, he turned Congress on its ear this past year by reducing the funds going into NSA because of some of the activities that we couldn't get answers for. And if I couldn't get an answer for it in a private, high-security briefing, you certainly couldn't get the answers for it. And now, if you look at what we've learned, we have valid concerns. So, look, I think there's every department up there, the ones you mentioned, the alphabet soup of all these agencies. There's not an agency in Washington, D.C. that doesn't need to look deep into its spending habits. And I'm a big DOD guy, but even DOD needs to look at how they spend money, okay, and how they grant contracts. Okay, the American people, right now, in my opinion, are being taken advantage of, okay, by departments that are not having to be concerned with where the money comes from. And the American people are being fleeced. Yes?
Very recently, a bipartisan committee found that the attack in Benghazi was preventable. Do you foresee any consequences for the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton?
Well, let me say this. One of my dearest friends in Congress is Trey Gowdy. Trey is from South Carolina, and Jason Chaffetz from Utah. They're on oversight. And those guys, you'll see those on Fox. Trey will be the one that will have his hair parted differently every night when he's on TV. He cannot figure out how he wants to comb his hair. But these guys are the ones that are really putting serious pressure on, and they're getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the truth. Now, that's not a committee of oversight that I'm on, so I haven't seen some of the documents that they've seen. But they tell me. I'm aware of the Democrat and Republican Commission, who last week in my jaw dropped when I heard Democrats and Republicans agree. We don't agree on anything. But when they agreed that the administration knew and that the administration did not do all that it could and should do to protect those 4 lives and our embassy. So, look, all I know is that the Speaker is committed to letting these oversight hearings continue. And I think that it raises a significant challenge for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Because the American people want to know the truth on this. And to have a commission of Democrat and Republican senators come back and say, hey, this smells. You know, I think much more coming on that. Yeah. We're coming good.
In regards to the healthcare bill that we were talking about earlier, one of the theories going around is that you know, the kind of that disastrous rollout that happened may have been intentional in order to say, hey, we tried a federal healthcare bill and it failed this badly, so we need to do single payer.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that's leading towards?
I think that the single payer system is what the left has wanted, okay, for 100 years. Okay, so that isn't a new thing. I'll be honest with you. I do not expect, I did not believe that they anticipated the massive amount of problems, and that if it does fail, I believe it will fail quickly, and I think it will fail too quickly to actually serve them any good. Because we're going to see a lot of the failures, I believe, between now and November. And that was not according to their calculus. Because Barack Obama did not want to help Republicans hold the House and win the Senate in November. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. Republicans sure have the ability to blow that. Okay? And we do. But the possibility of gaining seats in the House, and I believe that possibility is a very good possibility, and now the ability to take the Senate is certainly there. And so, but I think the goal for them clearly is a single-payer system. And I will tell you this, I don't care whether you're buying microwaves, TVs, or cell phones. When you reduce options and you reduce choice, you're getting screwed on quality, and you're paying a heck of a lot too much money for whatever you just bought. So, like, yes.
Yeah, that was actually my next question was, there's a real possibility that the Republicans will take the Senate this year. Run us through the scenario that the Republicans will Senate and they have full Congress. What's going to happen for the next 2 years after this?
Well, first of all, I think the way that the Republicans win the Senate and gain seats in the House is tell the American people what you're for. You don't inspire people by telling people what you're against. I mean, really. I mean, the Declaration of Independence was a proclamation of what could be. Now, they got in there and they talked about what they didn't like. They didn't like taxation without representation. Okay? But they clearly stated what they believed to be a better future. And so the Republicans sometimes have done a lousy job and need to do a better job. And I think it is a mandatory requirement if we are going to make successes in November, we have to tell the American people what we're for. And in regards to health care, we have to talk about what we believe we think is a better replacement. Because we can't go back to a system where those with pre-existing conditions can't get access to health care. That's no good, okay? But I think there's some ways that, there's some things that we can, and there's several bills out there that I believe accomplish those things. Now, next week we're having our Republican retreat, and one of the topics of conversation will be this very topic that we're talking about right now. Hopefully, coming out of this retreat, we will coalesce around, because there's several options out there for us. Dr. Tom Price of Georgia has a bill, H.R. 3000. Dr. Phil Rowe out of, and the Republican Study Committee, Dr. Rowe is out of Tennessee. There's several options of what our plan could be. What we've got to do is tell the American people what we believe, what our vision is regarding quality, affordable, accessible, patient-centered health care, where a bureaucrat does not stand between you and your doctor. And we've got to cast that vision and then let the American people choose.
Other than typical left-right party politics, what differentiates you from Lindsey Graham?
What shades me different than Lindsey Graham?
Yes, other than typical left-right politics.
Well, first of all, let me say this. Right now, it's very difficult to compare a senator with a House member. It's easy to serve in the minority. You come in, you can vote no, and then you can go golfing the rest of the day. Because your vote really doesn't matter. Especially when Harry Reid destroys the Senate, and they take away the filibuster. Okay, and does that which has not ever occurred in the 240 years we've existed. Okay, but to serve in the minority is very different than serving in the majority. Because in the majority, you must govern. You must govern. That is the responsibility of the majority. Okay, so it's very different. Lindsey and I are, I know Lindsey, but I've not studied, I've not studied his, all of his I do know this, I am probably much harsher on the president's foreign policy than Lindsey Graham is. I've been to the Middle East. I've seen what's going on there, and it is bad. And so therefore, I'm just going to call balls and strikes. Okay? This isn't about Barack Obama. This is about policies that are moving that region into a greater instability. And I think taking America and moving us in a direction that weakens us on the world stage. But you kind of have to give me maybe an example of a vote that because we don't vote on all the same things as they do in the.
I'm completely embarrassed right now. I meant the grant that you're running against.
So y'all didn't want to talk about Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina?
I am so sorry.
Well, let me tell you, you're an honest dude to admit that. Look,
that was a slip of tongue, and as soon as you said senator, I was just like, something's out of it.
I'm just curious in there, because I know y'all said you're from Florida. A lot of you are from Florida. So I want to ask you this question. How many of you are familiar with the name, because of your age, how many of you are familiar with the name Bob Graham? All right, keep your hands up. Somebody help me. Give me a percentage here. What do you think that would be?
I'd say either a little over 50-50.
Okay, 50-50. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you are familiar with the person, Gwen Graham? So 4? 5? So a much smaller number. The chances are great if nothing happens. And by the way, you're an honest fellow, so I appreciate it. Okay? Don't be embarrassed. You're an honest fellow. If I don't have a primary and Gwen Graham, who only 4 of you know, does not have a primary, then I will be facing a person by the name of Gwen Graham. Gwen happens to be the eldest daughter of former governor, a 2-term governor, and 3-term United States Senator, Bob Graham. I don't know her. I've never met her. What I do know of her, I know that she has made statements that are contrary to policy positions that I would take. We will study her father's record extremely well because she talks about her father a lot. And so therefore she's bringing her father into the campaign. Now, rarely do I as an incumbent have the benefit of having a challenger come into a race who's never served an elected position that brings 38 years of opposition research. I like that. Okay? So, but it would be very wrong of me to say, you know, hey, I know this about her, because it just wouldn't be true. I don't know her. I've never met her. I know their family is a South Florida family. My family is a Northwest Florida family. So you're going to hear a lot. If you're here, you're going to hear a lot about Northwest Florida values. 10 years, 200. You determine. Okay? If Northwest Florida values are something that I would assume living here a long time as a family you would know a lot about. But look, I think this is going to be I think this race, because this race is a top 3 race in the country. Nancy Pelosi identified me as a top 10 target in January of last year. People have dropped out of other races, retirements, whatnot. So now I've been elevated, this race has now been elevated into a top 3 race in the United States. So 435 House seats, and we're in the top 3. What that means is that this is going to be a very combative, very expensive race. And it will be a race that will, I believe, contrast very well to the vision, the two different visions of what America should be. And so I like where we stand, and I think that with hard work and honest dealings, the people of this district, the 700,000 that I'm honored and privileged to represent, will make a wise choice. I hope it's me. I'm asking to be rehired for this job for another 2 years. But it will be up to the people that, again, I'm humbled to represent, and we'll see. Yes?
You know, you talk about motivating people by what you're for rather than telling them what you're against, and you talk about equality. I wanted to ask you, what is pursuing equality if you are relieving the rich people of taxes, you're giving them tax breaks, while you have hindered the middle class with increasing taxes? How is that pursuing equality?
Well, first of all, if you look at the policies of this administration, and you look at who has been harmed the most under this administration, it's been the middle class.
And you voted for that.
No, I haven't voted for Barack Obama. No.
No, you had voted for Ryan's budget, which did precisely that, hinder the middle class.
Oh, no.
And relieve.
Oh, no. So you're happy with the president's policies?
I didn't say that. I'm asking you what you had voted for, which is Ryan's budget, that gave
Yeah.
tax breaks for the rich.
Oh, no.
And
Now, let me say this. I
I'm not saying that.
have on Ryan, because I don't believe that's what Ryan's budget did. That's what I'm disagreeing with you on. Okay, that's what I'm disagreeing with you on. What I believe is that it is not government's responsibility to create a job. That's not government's role to create a job. It is government's role to create an environment where job creators create jobs. Okay? Now, government in many ways needs to get out of the way. Okay? And so if you look at the Ryan budget, okay, by the way, which balances in 10 years, the president's budget and the Senate budget never, ever, 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 ever balances. Now, unless the budget balances, you will never address what Senator Mullin said is the single greatest threat to America's security, our debt. And the reason that that's a threat to our security is because we will be beholden to countries who don't like us. And so therefore, if we don't get control of that, and we get higher interest rates and inflation, America's in significant trouble. So what I'm saying to you as far as in your question, I voted for the Ryan budget. But what I believe the Ryan budget did, Ryan budget allows the small businesses, okay, which are 80% of our economy is small business. It's not Fortune 500 companies. 80% of small businesses, 80% of our economy is small businesses. Those small businesses file as S corporations and LLCs. Now, there's a difference. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but when you own a small business and you file as a subchapter S or you file as an LLC, you file your taxes as an individual, and so the company, there's no difference. It's a pass-through. And so when you raise, when the president wants to harm businesses and say we need to raise the corporate tax rate, what he's not telling you is that he's going to raise the taxes on S corporations and LLCs, thus raising taxes on individuals. Because of the way they file. And so I feel very comfortable with my support of the Ryan budget. First of all, it's a vision to not bankrupt America. Is it perfect? No, there's no perfect bill. I'm just telling you, I haven't seen a perfect bill. I haven't seen one that comes close to a perfect bill. You know, do those who I don't have a problem with taxation either. I mean, you gotta pay money into the Treasury. I get that. But I also know this, that right now we have the highest corporate tax rate of any country in the industrialized world. Canada, to our north, dropped their corporate tax rate to 18%. So if you're wanting to relocate to North America, where do you go? You go north of the line, or you go south of the line to create jobs. We're closing our factories, we're running corporations out of America. That's just the way it is.
Don't you subsidize corporations to go to the government rather than anything else, like banks and oil corporations?
Look, I mean, first of all, one of the things, let me ask you this. You know, you raise a great point. Have you ever run a business? Your family in business?
Absolutely not. I am the middle class, I just have patience, that's all.
Okay. If you took does anybody here, would anybody who's studying business or knows business or anybody, and that's not, okay.
It's like that, I mean,
Yeah.
more government regulations you have, it typically breaks the backs of small business owners, like my parents.
Correct.
You know,
What do they do?
restaurants and apartment complexes,
Okay.
typical, things you get into when you're trying to, increase your earnings. I've had it basically, my mom always says, she says this like every other day I talk to her, she's like, every time you start a small business, everybody's got their hands out, and they want some money from you, the government, you know, people who fix your roof, you know, so just the more things that you impose, like a bigger government, more regulations, more taxes on small businesses, the less room to give them to grow. So.
Well, let me say this, in my family, I've never written a donation to the Salvation Army, to United Way, to a baseball team trying to go to the World Series, or to sponsor a soccer team, or to help Catholic social charities. I've never written a check out of our company to those organizations that check did not come out of pocket. So therefore, if there's no profit, I mean, I can tell you, look, I was the chairman of the Salvation Army in Panama City for 2 years, that board there. And I'll tell you that if you eliminate those donations from small businesses, the millions of people who benefit from the ministries of the Salvation Army will be in trouble. Unfortunately, you know, some want to make profit a dirty word. So, look, I'll tell you this we have too much regulation in this country. Too much regulation. When you factor local, state, and federal, NFIB says that if you're a company and you have 20 employees, that in this country today, that your average cost per employee each year is over $10,000 in regulatory cost. $10,000 per employee. So I mean, you just can't. Look, we just shouldn't close up.
Yeah, actually, my mom was talking about something very recently. There's a lot of businesses in Orlando that, you know, obviously they're restaurants and recreation facilities, and they have a lot of bathroom facilities that, you know, put strain on the sewage systems in the town. So the government, the regulatory entities in Orlando make the argument that you have to have a license to be able to use the sewage system.
Right.
And it's expensive. So if you apply that logic to every other aspect of the business, you're paying out a lot of money for licenses, fees, regulatory bullshit, you know, just all that.
I get it. You had it right. You had it right the first time.
Just because I know there's like a whole bunch of different viewpoints of how people come to their different conclusions in voting, why did you vote personally yes for extension of the provisions of the Patriot Act?
Well, first of all, the Patriot Act extension did not deal with the Patriot Act in its totality. It only dealt with 3 provisions of the Patriot Act. Okay, so when people say, well, Sullivan voted for the Patriot Act, that's a half-truth. Okay, what Steve Sullivan voted for were 3 provisions inside the Patriot Act, including the lone wolf provision, that deals with foreign individuals coming into the United States. So if you go back and you check my vote, those 3 provisions deal with foreign individuals. That was what we voted on, and that's what we approved. And I am of the belief that when you come into this country, you're not a citizen of this country, that it is only smart that we ask who you are, where you're going, and what you will do there. I swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all threats, foreign and domestic. That's my oath. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is very clear that it is Congress's responsibility to deal with the security of the American people. And when we don't ask those questions, who are you, where are you going, and what you will do there, when you are a foreign individual coming into this country, I believe I could make the argument that I have violated my oath to the Constitution. That was my vote. Good question, though. All right, we about to, one more?
We can do one more.
You've been dying to ask me.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's been all over. No, it's just, you're itching.
Congressman, going off your point about our extreme debt and our rising military expenditures, do you personally believe that we should be the policemen of the world, or do we have to make some cutbacks?
No, we've got to have cutbacks. We can't be, look, I was vehemently against us going to Syria. Okay, and guess what? You know how proud I was of the American people? Because the American people said, we're not going to Syria. Okay? I'm of the opinion that with an engaged electorate, Washington listens. But with an apathetic electorate, a disengaged electorate, an electorate that really doesn't care, then our future is very uncertain. But the American people stood up and said, we're not going to Syria. I mean, we're coming on the hills of Iraq, Afghanistan. No, we can't be the policemen anymore. Here's the problem, though, we have with our alliances that we, NATO, for example. To become a member of NATO, you have to make a commitment. I know that's hard and foreign for some people. Commitments. I'm pretty good at commitments. Just ask Susan. The point is when you come into NATO, you make a promise that you will spend as a country 2% of your annual budget on defense. 2%. So if you're France, or if you're Switzerland, or whatever country you are, that you will spend 2% in order to be in NATO. The problem is the countries that are in NATO have violated their promise. And so therefore these countries want all the benefits. Now, see if this sounds familiar. Want all the benefits that go along with NATO without paying the fee to be a part of NATO. Now, why do we want each country to spend 2% of their budget on defense? So that when there is a thug that is violating human rights around the world, and NATO has to step in, then the cost is not borne totally by the taxpayers in the United States of America. So then when we all collect all of our weapons to stand up as a united world, everybody's bringing a little something to the table. But if you're like Spain or Greece, I love this, Greece. If you're like the mighty Greece, that has a retirement age of 50. 50. And are angry that Germany, who has a retirement age of 68, won't bail them out. Now, let's just pretend for a moment we're all Germans.
Oh, I said, would not think I'd tell this far back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's pretend we're all Germans. You've been working, you've been busting it now. Okay? You're 68. You're about to retire. Do you want to say, you know what, I've been working to 68, and those guys have been laying on hammocks for the last 18 years while I was working. And they've been spending money, going through it like crap through a goose. And they now want me to stay working, not retire at 68, but maybe they want me to work until I'm 75. To bail them out? Who in here votes for that? Is there anyone in here that's okay with extending your retirement age to 75? The point is, that's who are in NATO. And so therefore, when we have to have a world action and we stand up against Assad, a murderous regime who absolutely doesn't give a rat's you-know-what about anybody but himself, and we have to stand up as a unified world, we're the ones that pay with blood and treasure because everybody else is squandering and done exactly what Admiral Mullen is warning us of. The single greatest threat to America's security is her death. And so therefore I agree with Admiral Mullen. By the way, an Obama appointee. He called balls and strikes and he got it right. I'm sure to the fury of 1600 Pennsylvania. Okay? But my point is, it's a great question. We cannot be the police agency for the world. We must make, though, these organizations that are a part of alliances around the world toe their own game. That's only fair for the hardworking men and women of this country who are struggling, doing everything they can to provide the pursuit of happiness for their children. That's only fair. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the question and answer. Thanks, guys. See you again.
This meeting went a little long, but for good reason, so we're just gonna try to get through these announcements real fast. We're going bowling